Yeah,
Okay.
I started recording.
Now, I just asked you to go through some information, right? I didn't give you any program to read. So,
Yes.
have you happened to go through any of the other things that we already covered?
Um, Actually, no, Prasad. Like
Okay.
I'll do tomorrow.
Try to make some time, no? Otherwise, you will find it
Oh
difficult.
yeah.
Because the concepts so far are easy, so it's not difficult. But it will
Okay.
be easy for you if you spend some time on yours also. Okay. Anyways,
Okay
let's
then.
start with the.
Sure.
Okay, we have. I was about to start regarding strings, but couldn't because of the internet connection. So let's actually continue from there again. So we have covered different data types, right? Integer, long, byte, and short. They are all for
Yeah.
the whole number data types. And then double and float are for the real number data types, where we have a decimal point. And then we have char, which is for storing a single character. Okay. And now, um, what if we want to store multiple characters, like say for example name? That is when string comes into the picture. Okay. Yeah, we have characters, and if you are aware of C, in C, strings are nothing but character arrays where last character is ending with a /0. Whereas in Java, there is no such /0. Strings is a separate data type. Okay, and whenever we want to identify a string literal, whenever I say string literal, it means a constant, like say for example ABC or DEF. When I say string variable, it is that's str1, str2 that I have created over here. So any string literal has to be in double quotes. Okay, to create string data type, we have to use string, the class string, and give the variable name equals to the value. There are many other ways of creating strings. I'll show you. And now, usually there is no plus operator between strings and other data types, other programming languages. In C++, we can override plus to operate on strings so that they will be concatenated together. So in Java also, they have already overridden the actual plus data type so that we on strings we can easily operate. So if we use a plus operator between a string data type and an integer, it will actually be concatenating, treating the integer also as a string. Okay, so as I showed you here.
Um, Prasad, are you sharing any screen to us?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing the screen.
No, I
There is
couldn't see
yes,
any.
there is only one slide so far, so you didn't miss anything.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I can see it now.
yes, this is a slide I have been sharing since beginning. So you can actually cover that. Okay, string data type as shown here, ABC, DEF, they are all string literals. Okay, and
Yeah.
str1, str2, they are string variables. And to create a string data type variable, we use string. That's the key, not the keyword. It's a class or a custom data type that they have created. I told you, in a couple of slides back, string is not actually a primitive data type, but it has been given so much support that it is almost treated like a primitive data type. If you see, all other data types are beginning with all in complete lowercase words, except for the string. String is starting with a capital letter, right? There is a special meaning to it. Okay, in Java world, anything, most of the times, custom data types or classes, they all begin with a capital letter. Okay, so what you have to understand from this is string is a custom data type. It's not a primitive data type. It's a complex data type that has been created for later. It's not by default available in Java. Okay, so but now it will be coming whenever you install Java. It is also coming because they are also adding that extra code also as a part of our libraries. Okay, now let's actually let me show you what. Okay, the IDE that I'm using right now is IntelliJ. Okay, so you haven't installed any IDE so far, right? You can install
No.
either Eclipse or IntelliJ or NetBeans. Okay, or you can try all three and see what works for you and use that.
Can you repeat those three ones? Eclipse.
Yes, there is Eclipse and there
Okay.
is NetBeans.
NetBeans.
Just a moment. Okay, you see three IDs over here. Okay, one is Eclipse. That is also very good. It's very popular, and all these three are very popular Java IDEs. Okay, and for IntelliJ, it's not completely free, but there is a community edition that can be used for used as a students or self exploration or non-commercial projects. Okay, so you can go ahead and use that IntelliJ IDE. NetBeans is also a very good IDE. So each has their own advantages and disadvantages. There can be small differences in how each IDE tackles things. I suggest you to actually get familiarized with not just one IDE, because in the project that you go, there is high chance that they may use some other IDE than what you may use here. So what I suggest you is at least go with two IDEs so that you will know when someone comes up with a third IDE, you will know how to identify differences and all. Okay, so that is one of the reason I am switching between Eclipse and IntelliJ. I don't want to get too accustomed with only one ID. Okay, not so much of a difference, but you can see the differences when you actually start to start using them. Okay, so
So you use like which ID do you use in the office? Like, is it like
in
Eclipse,
Office,
NetBeans?
in
Yeah.
Office, I for some projects I use Eclipse. For some projects, I use IntelliJ.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, as I told you, mostly the features are kind of common across all IDs. They don't actually differ that much. Only difference would be how the interface looks and all. So you wouldn't find that much of difference. Okay. So some look good, some doesn't look good. So it's personal choice, personal preference. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, now we have a public class string example, and let's go ahead with the subsequent uh, examples.
Like you said, it's a personal preference, right? Is it your choice to choose which ID to use, or is it like specific to a company, like which ID should be used?
Most of the times it will be coming down to what company uses, because
Mhm.
when people different persons use different IDs in the same project, what happens is the ID is okay. Actually, I forgot to tell you one comment on the code you write yesterday. Okay, the code you write yesterday, I'll come back to your question again. Look something like this.
Mhm.
Uh, okay, your code looks something like this. Okay, it is as your program is small, it may be okay, but as your program size increases, it will be difficult for us to understand, okay, this is a function, okay, this code is part of this block, okay, this code is part of this block. It is little difficult for people to understand when you write code like this. Okay, so you have to do something called as indentation. Okay, indentation is whenever you're coming inside one level, you put a tab or spaces, 4 spaces is a usual convention. So this is called as indentation. And now, why am I jumping onto that indentation topic when you have actually asked a different question? Is because each IDE does a slightly different indentation. Okay, IntelliJ may decide to, again, depending upon the configuration, IntelliJ may decide to put spaces instead whenever I type tab, and Eclipse may use tabs only. NetBeans may use something else. So what happens is, when one person is working on one IDE and another person is working on another IDE, their indentations may differ. The problem is, generally in projects, have you ever worked on any of the projects earlier, or you have to start yet?
No, I didn't work anywhere, Prasad.
Okay, so what happens is, people use something called as version repositories, right? Version, so code CVS, something called as CVS. So there, people actually maintain differences between the previous version and this version. Okay, they do some process called as check-in, checkouts. At that time, they will be able to see what exactly has changed in the current file. So why I am explaining about this is because during that check-in process, each of the difference that is there from the previous line will be displayed. Let's say, for example, another developer has added this code, and now I'm adding some new line, int I equal to 5. Now, whenever I'm trying to check in, it will show that, okay, there is a difference in this line. Is this fine? Or do you want to check in? This kind of alerts will come. But now, if people use different IDs, what happens is, every change, let's say, for example, here, instead of spaces, IntelliJ use tabs. So this line will be shown differently. We have to analyze what is the difference thing. And then if IntelliJ does the same thing in every line, each of your codes will look the differences look a very big one. Okay, list of differences between the file. The code you may be trying to check in is only one extra line, but your differences file will be very big. Okay, so that's why people generally don't use different IDs in projects. Okay, so is the topic clear as to what I'm explaining?
Yes, Prasad.
Okay, so you have to, there are two takeaways. One is, you have to use indentation and formatting. Let's say, and every ID, let's say, for example, I did like this, and I can do something like analyze code, reformat code. Now, if you see, IntelliJ automatically adjusted this. Okay, even though I have this one here, when I said code and reformat code, IntelliJ has adjusted that. Okay, it works the same way. Even if I had some extra spaces or whatnot. So in each ID is Control Shift Command Shift F. Okay, Command Shift F. Now, so each ID will do the indentations and all slightly differently. So that's what makes the difference. So as long as people don't actually have different settings in different IDs, that is fine. Okay, so that is what you have to take care of. And there is another factor also that comes into the picture when you use different IDs, that is licenses. Okay, IDE, the IntelliJ IDE, as I said earlier, is not free actually. So you may actually, you cannot use, your company may not allow you to use an community edition for you to work on some commercial project. So that issues will be there. And also, the company may have acquired licenses for one ID, let's say, for example, IntelliJ IDE. So they have already paid for that IDE, right? And IntelliJ IDE paid version is very good actually. So commercial version is also very good. but paid version has lots of support for lots of other features. At that time, if you want to use Eclipse because you are familiar with Eclipse, you may lose out on those features. Apart from the differences that I already told you, you may lose out on the extra features that IntelliJ provides. So best thing for you to do is get familiarized with all IDEs, all three IDEs. Okay, it is not that difficult. Just write some programs in one IDE, write some programs in another IDE. You will be able to identify how each IDE works. Okay, this IDE is looking like this. If I open NetBeans, it looks again slightly differently. Let me open it. Okay, so this is how NetBeans IDE is looking like. So code, syntax, everything, they will have a different kind of coloring scheme, different ways of running the file, different ways of running the projects, building the projects. So there are a lot of things. Kind of, say for example, there is run button here, there is run button here, there is debug button here, there is debug button here. So some small icon differences will be there, but most of the time they will be identical. Okay, so hope I have satisfied.
So do we also have the
Have the
no? Do we also have that for reformat the code option in?
that is kind of
those two?
common thing in any modern IDE.
Okay.
So in the notepad, whenever I asked you to write, that was also an intention of forming the good habit. Okay, don't rely on IDEs reformatting alone. It is there in everything, but it makes your life easy while you are writing the code. Okay, just make it a habit to actually indent that properly. Okay, whenever you, let's say for example, okay, we will learn all those things, but whenever when I open this now, if you see, when I have started this main, I have indented it inside. Okay, and then when I'm writing code inside this, I'll be indenting again. So now if I say for example string s equals to abc, see, all the code that I write in main, I write it one step towards right. Okay, so the advantage is it will be very clear as to which code is inside main, which code is not inside main. Okay, tomorrow you will write such code as we learn more and more.
Prasad, your voice is breaking.
Okay, is it any better now actually, or is it still breaking? Hi.
Better now.
Okay. So we will actually you will have to actually make it a habit of indenting yourself. That will be the easiest way. So even when you are writing the code, you will be able to clearly see where you have written what code. Okay, so you will understand as you write bigger and larger programs. Now let me jump on to this.
So how do I install this? I just download it like any other software and install it on my system?
Yes.
Or do I have to give any paths?
No, you don't have to do anything. That's only for Java. But for other IDEs, for Eclipse, it is just download and extract. Okay, it will give you a zip file. Okay, and now Eclipse is also giving installer, so you will have to double click on that installer, and that will get installed. So in older versions of Eclipse, it was just a zip file. So download, extract, and run the exe file inside that folder. Okay, for IntelliJ, there will be an installer. For IntelliJ and NetBeans, there will be installers. Okay, so
I can get those softwares and I can Google them, right?
Yeah, you can Google them. As long as you know the name, you can pretty well get them within 5 minutes.
Okay, and as for the compilation and run execution of the program, it's same as like in the command prompt only, right? Like Java, C.
No, you don't have to do any of that thing when you come with IDE. That's the advantage that I'm going to show you now. Okay, so now I have written this program. Okay, now I want to run this program. Okay, all I have to do is just run this. Okay, right click and run, and that's it. The program will be executing and it will be showing the output over here. Okay, so you don't have to. The reason why people use IDEs is one of the advantages is this. You don't have to rely on two different things to do the same thing. Okay, so once you run this program, next time onwards to run this program, all you have to do is click this button. That's it.
Oh.
If I say ABCD, run this, it gets executed and it prints ABCD. Okay, so in IDEs, everything will be there. You don't have to go out of IDE and do something else.
So we don't have to compile it too. We just
The
execute the
compilation,
program.
everything. Okay, compilation and everything happens automatically. Okay, if you see here, main training. Now you see string example.class. It has compiled that particular Java file and it executes it. Okay, so everything happens without you having to do anything. Whenever you ask it to run, it will run. And when there is some error in that, it will directly show that error. Okay, you don't even have to compile it. Okay, it will directly show there is some error over here. You forgot a semicolon. If you put a mouse over here, it will tell you as to what is the error.
Okay, but the same does the same thing happen here too? Like if there is an error, it won't be compiled, right? And the dot class file won't be created, as you said yesterday. So
yes,
does
but
the same
if the
thing
file is
happen here?
already yes, same thing happens everywhere. See, they also internally use JavaC command only. Okay, so if you have already generated that class file, that file will be there. Okay, but if you click run, see, it won't even allow you to run it. Whenever you click run, it deletes the existing class file. It tries to recreate the class file. Now, if you see, the dot class file is gone over here. Now, if I put a semicolon and then if I say run, now the dot class file is created. Okay. So IDEs does a process of cleaning up as well. Okay, so that you don't accidentally run previous version and see there is no difference. Okay, see that's actually
But as you said, like today, if there is
complete whatever.
Like if there is an error, the previous class file will be executed, right? You said it yesterday.
Yes,
but now it doesn't even.
Continue.
But if you remove the semicolon now and execute it again, it must show the ABCD, right? Because there is an error, it won't create another dot class file, and it must display the ABCD file, the previous class file.
Okay. See, there are some programs. I think Eclipse does that. There are some IDEs that actually clean the thing. Okay. Now clearly observe what is happening over here when I click run. Okay. Over here, can you see this package.class file? An example.class file. Now when I say run, okay, see what happened. That file got deleted. Okay. So before compiling, what the IntelliJ does is it first deletes the existing class file. Okay, so that you don't accidentally run the existing class file. See, you may think that's a benefit if we can run the existing class file if it doesn't get compiled, but that's actually a confusion creating factor, right? So IntelliJ avoids it completely by deleting the existing class file. If there is an error, you cannot run it. You have to fix the error first, then only you can run it.
So this is also one of the difference between IDEs, right?
Yes.
It doesn't happen in the Eclipse.
Yes, but see, IDEs are very fluid. Okay, it's not always constant. Let me show you. Compiler, Java compiler, Eclipse compiler, and okay. Now let me run this once. Okay, the dot class file got generated. Now I'm actually removing this and saving it and then again running it. Okay. Now you see, you observe over here, the dot class file was not deleted. Okay. So what is that you can observe here? With IDEs, features are not fixed. They can be configured. Okay. So if you see, go to preferences, I changed the Java compiler to use Eclipse way of doing things, right? So what happened over here is it did not delete the existing one, but with Java C it will be doing it. There are a lot of features that you can actually configure. Do you really want to delete the existing ones? What do you want to do? So all those kinds of things. So with IDEs, don't think a feature is fixed or it only works that way. No, it doesn't work that way. It works in a lot of ways. Yeah. So uh, don't worry too much about the differences. Almost all IDEs are very much comparable. You will get almost same features. Now I changed that to Java C, right? With Java C compiler, IntelliJ behaves differently. With Eclipse compiler, it behaves differently. So uh,
So,
things are different, but don't think there is only one fixed way of doing things in a certain IDE. You can configure it. You want it slightly differently, you can configure it.
so with the IntelliJ IDE, can we switch the within the compiler? I mean, compilers like Java C compiler and Eclipse compiler.
Yes, we just did it. In preferences,
I
see,
mean, like if we are on the Eclipse IDE, can we switch that to some other compiler?
no. Eclipse compiler is very advantageous. That's why IntelliJ has implemented the Eclipse style of compiling, and they have given an option for you to choose that.
Okay.
Okay. So what there is a difference. Eclipse compiler and Java compiler, Java C compiler doesn't run even if there is one single error. But when it comes to Eclipse compiler, even when some other Java classes have some errors, they will run. Okay. So now let's say I have another class. I don't exactly remember this difference. And here I don't have this. Now if I try to run the string example, you see, it is not running the string example, even though string example does not have any error, right? But when it comes to Eclipse, it doesn't work like that. Okay, if there is an error in string error, if we don't need it, it will simply ignore it. Let me see if IntelliJ behaves the same way. Okay, it is already Eclipse compiler only, but still it is not proceeding. Okay, but what happens in Eclipse is, let me show you. In Eclipse, if there is one error in some other file, it will simply ignore that file and it will run this file. Okay, but in IntelliJ, it doesn't do like that. Okay, anyways, it's not that advantageous for us to continue doing the same thing. Let me say, now there is a compilation error. Now if I run this, okay, what it says is there are errors. Do you want to proceed with launch? If I say proceed, the previous version will be executed. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, there must be a configuration where I must have changed. What Eclipse does is, even if there is an error in one of the file, it will be using the previous version of that file. And also, let's say, for example, now I am running. Now I have another class. Now here I have test. Now I wanted to run this as Java application. Now you see it executed this file. Okay, even though there is an error in hello world.java. Now I am executing this file. There are errors. Do you want to proceed? Yes. Now it printed hello. You observe what did IntelliJ do? IntelliJ, because there is an error in the string error, it is not allowing us to run the string example as well. That is one of the feature that I like in Eclipse most. Okay, which is not available in this, but it does have some common features of Eclipse compiler. So don't worry so much about differences. Okay, As you keep using it, you will get accustomed to it. Okay, so you don't even try to remember it. No one will ask you a question about differences between IDs. It's just for you to know. You can even forget it later. Okay. So let's.
But in order to get the Eclipse compiler in IntelliJ, do we have to have Eclipse ID in our computer, or it's an inbuilt?
We don't have to. It will be coming. IntelliJ just implemented a different style compiler. Okay, so it will be doing certain things. It will be doing certain things. IntelliJ will be doing it in a certain fashion. So that way, if they have implemented it, you don't have to do anything. Okay, and also key map, like the key map shortcuts will be there, right? Like whenever I wanted to format it, I just said Control Shift F, but that is Eclipse formatted shortcut. And now I can actually use the default IntelliJ ones. Okay, IntelliJ ones will again be different. So when a person is accustomed with Eclipse shortcuts, they can come here and simply use the Eclipse shortcut maps. Okay, shortcut maps. For example, when we say Control S, it saves the file, right? It is the default in all IDEs, all softwares. So in the same way, in Java world, there are so many such shortcuts because there are so many tasks that can be done. So for those shortcuts, IntelliJ uses different shortcuts, Eclipse uses different shortcuts. But in IntelliJ, you can come and use the same shortcuts as Eclipse shortcuts, so that it will be a matter of convenience. That's it. Anyways, enough topic discussion about IDs. Okay, as you use it, you will get accustomed to the differences and you will get accustomed to the advantages of each IDE. Okay, not so much of difference, but there is certainly some advantage. Okay, now there is one string and then S2 equals to DEF, and now I wanted to concatenate these two. All I have to do is S plus S2. Okay, now I'll be printing ABCDEF. You cannot use any other thing. You cannot use minus or anything. Okay, so only thing that you can use between strings is plus, and that will concatenate the strings. Now, when you created strings, you have some extra properties. You can say S dot equals char at. So for example, you wanted to find out if what is the length of the total string. You can actually call something called as length method. Okay, those methods are available on the strings. So whenever you want to access those methods, all you have to do is type the variable name and press dot. You will see all the methods that are available for you. Okay, there are so many things that can be done on the strings. Let's say, for example, we wanted to replace B C C D with X Y Z. Okay, now let's print what S3 equals to. Now let's print S3. Okay, S2, we are replacing on S2, right? So S2 only has DEF, so it doesn't matter. So let's say let's change EF to XYZ. Now what happens is replace will change the values and return a new value, and that will be copied into this S3. Now if you print this S3, you should see DXYZ. See DXYZ. The same way, we can do a lot of things. We can test whether my S3 has, say, for example, D. Okay, this will be printing out, returning true or false. If the original string has D, it will be returning true. Otherwise, it will be returning false. Now, if you see, it will be printing true. If I say, for example, P, it will be returning or printing false. Okay, so there are a lot of things that can be done on strings, and replace, character add, concatenate, ends with. We can test some things. Okay, there are a lot of things, that you can do on strings. However, if you try on int, say for example, int a equals to 5, and if you say a dot, you won't get all those things. Okay, all these are not related to a at all. Okay, so because as I said, for primitive data types you will not get that extra methods. For the string, as I said, a string is not a primitive data type, it's a custom data type. So for those things, it will be, those extra methods will be available. Okay, so you will slowly understand more and more as to what all you can do. Okay, so you are clear on this, right? Hello, can you hear me? Is my voice breaking? Hi, Sri Lakshmi, can you hear me? Okay, voice is getting disconnected. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I just got disconnected and reconnected again.
Okay, okay. Did you, okay, when did you get disconnected? What was I telling when you are disconnected?
I don't know.
Okay, did you saw this example so far about when I'm explaining about a dot will not give you anything?
That's where it got
Okay.
disconnected.
So all the primitive data types does not have any extra methods like this, extra functions like this. Okay, only strings, because strings are custom data types, they have added all these extra methods to it. You will understand how to do that as you learn more and more features of Java. Okay. Now, let's continue to the next topic, that is arrays. Okay, so now let's say you wanted to use more than one value. Okay, for example, you wanted to store, say you have some students. What you can do, you may think of creating, say for example, a1, a2, a3, a4, a5, like that. But what if you have 100 students? Can you create 100 variables like a1, a2, a3 up to 100? No, you cannot. It's not convenient, because tomorrow it may not be 100, it may be 1000. You cannot keep on creating all those variables, right? So for that, Java, in fact, any programming language gives a data type called as array. Okay, so it's not exactly a single data type, but it's a combination data type that you can use along with any other data type. Okay, what I mean by that, we will see. Let's say there is this variable a in which you can store 25. Okay, but when we declare some variable as an array, we can actually store multiple values of the same data type. Okay, so these 25, 34, 56 to 45, 9, 137, they are all different values, but all are of integer data types. Okay, so this is called as an array. So when we can actually refer multiple values of same data type using a single variable, that is typically an array. Okay, now all the arrays are zero-based indexes. Okay, so how do we access, say for example, fifth element? We will have to say b of, say, 6. B of 4. Why b of 4 to access fifth element? Because arrays are zero-based index, zero-based items. Okay, zero-based indexes. What do I mean by zero-based indexes? That means the first element is called as the first index is called as zeroth index. So second element is first. Okay, likewise, the indexes always start with 0 and until n-1. Let's say for example there is an array of size 10. That means the last element will be b of 9. Okay, so that's how the arrays can be used. Arrays are typically used to store multiple values together. Okay, I'll show you how to create different arrays using different terminology. As I said, arrays can be used to store multiple values of same data type, right? Now, if you see the first example, where I gave int and I gave square brackets, which is the indication of telling that, okay, now I'm creating an array of integers, an array. The variable name is an array. So it just created an integer array without giving any size. Now, read the second line. An array equals to new int of 10. Okay, generally whenever I read int of 10, which means it is either in square brackets or in parentheses, that is in round brackets. Okay, so what it says is, what that line new int of 10 says is, now I'm creating an array that can hold 10 integer values. Okay, so the first element can be accessed by using an array of 0. If we say an array of 0 equals to 100, value 100 will be placed into that first element. And then when we say an array of 1 equals to 34, the value will be placed into the second element. The 34 will be placed into that. In the same way, we can access until an array of 9. Now, there are other examples. Okay, there can be arrays of arrays. Okay, take for example, okay, forget about that string example. For now, come to the bottom example of char. Char array I'm creating, but here instead of giving any size, what I'm doing is I'm directly giving the values that have to be placed in the array. When I do that, the size of the array is also defined by me based on how many values we have given. In this example, we have given 13 characters. So the size will be automatically 13. And the same way, strings example, if you go to the third example where I've used string, wherein I've used 2 square brackets together, which means it's an array of arrays. Okay, so you can go for any number of dimensions, but we will see slowly as to how to use those things. Let me first show you code example as to how arrays can be used.
Prasad, like what does array of array means? Like for the string, what?
Okay.
Why do you say array of arrays?
Okay. In real world, let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, you are writing a software for a school. Okay. Now you wanted to store all the marks of students in a class. What do you need? An array, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do you store students of all the classes? Will you create different variable for every array?
No.
No, right? So then what you do? You create an array of arrays.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what array of arrays means. Now how do you write a software that can operate on multiple schools of a specific educational institution? Let's say, for example, there is Jubilee Hills branch, there is Banjara Hills branch, for say, for example, same school. Let's say Oak Ridge School. Now they wanted to maintain store all the marks of all the students of all the classes in all their different branches. Now will you create array of arrays for every branch? No.
Okay.
What you will do, you will create an array of arrays. Okay. So as you depending upon the requirement, okay, you may have to create multi-dimensional arrays. These are called as multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, you can make sense of them in real world right now. Is it clear or is it confusing?
But how do we know which data type to use, like for string or int, or how do we know which data type to use for which?
No, that question is what data type to use is not driven by our decision. It is driven by the requirement for the user. Okay, okay. User is telling, I'm selling different items. I wanted to store prices. What data type will you use? You will use a double, because for you wanted to store in dollars, you have to use $5.25, right? So it is not driven by your decision or your imagination. It is driven by the requirement.
Okay.
Okay. You wanted to store names of the all customers. What data type will you use? You have to use an array of strings. You wanted to store prices of all the items. There the prices is numbers, right? And they have decimal point values also. They are not whole numbers. So you will have to use array of doubles or floats. So it's always
So,
depending upon the requirement.
so for double and float, we can use array of multi-dimensional arrays, right? It's not specific
As I said,
string arrays,
array is
right?
not a specific data type. It's a combination data type. You can use it with anything.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have to store a single price, okay, for whatever reason, then you will only use a single variable. But if you have to use multiple things, then you go for an array, whatever it can be.
Okay.
Okay. Now let me actually show the arrays in code. Now I'm creating an example class, public static void. Now if you see, you have already used some arrays over here. Okay, string of args, which means args is an array of strings. Okay, we have not used that so far. We will see that at later point of time, but you have been using args from your first program. Sorry, the arrays from first program. You're not using, you're writing, but you don't know what it means. What it means is that args is an array of strings that can be passed while executing the program. Okay, now let me come back, bring you back to the topic of arrays. Let's say int array arr equals to new int of, say for example, 5. Now, how do I actually store values in it? I can say array of 0 equals to 9. I can say array of 1 equals to 10. Array of 3 equals to 15. Array of 4 equals to -7. Now, I can simply use like that only as out.
I think you missed array of 2.
Yes, it's on purpose. It is to show you that you don't have to give values for everything just because they are there. Okay. In reality, nowhere you will be writing like this. Okay. Generally we use loops. At that time, almost all the values will be filled automatically. But we will see about loops further far apart. Okay, maybe mid of next week we will reach that point. So now, if I want, I can use them in any order. I don't have to use them in the same order. I don't have to use everything. And I can also use some things that I have not already created. You will see what will happen when I actually print that value. 3, 4. And now if I run the program, okay, here it is 0, 2, 3, 4. Now if I run the program again, now you should see that I'm actually be able to access whatever values I placed. Array of 1 I placed 10, so 10 has come back. In array of 2 I did not place anything, 0 came back. So 0 is the default value for any variable inside an array. Okay, for integers. Okay, remember, let me make it very clear. It is only for integers. Okay, or number values. So for other things, default values will be different. So now for array of 4, it is -7. So you can use these variables like just any other variables. Let's say, for example, you wanted to find out an average. Okay, so now how will you find out the average? You can simply do that by int avg equals to array of 0 plus array of 1 plus array of 2 plus array of 3 plus array of 4 and divided by 5. Okay, now let me average. Now I'm printing the average. Now if I run the program, now it says average is 5. Now if I change any value, say I change this to 45 and then run again, now the average should change 11. Okay, so now they can be used just like any other variables. Okay, most of the times arrays are used in conjunction with loops. Okay, because most of the times we would like to do the same kind of operation on all of the things. Let's say for the prices, we want to give discount for all the prices in that in the list of prices that we have. How do? We loop on every price, like we repeat everything on every price and do the same operation, right? So generally arrays are used in conjunction with loops, which I haven't introduced yet. So for now, understand that we will be able to go ahead and do like this. Okay, so you are clear on what arrays are, right? As I said, now if you try to print, say for example, directly an array, it will be printing, let's see, it is not printing the elements in that. Okay, if you want to print elements in that array, you have to print like this: array 1, array 2, array 0, whatever way you want, whatever order you may want, but you will have to print each one individual element. And now,
But
yes,
what's the output it's showing
it is
right now?
there is something called as hash code that gets printed for all the complex objects. Okay, I'll explain to you about that a bit later. There is something called as toString method that we can actually implement, so that for our custom classes we can give that. Okay, you can, for now it's a random number. You can imagine like that. Okay, so that is, whenever we create an array, it will be associated with a random number that is called as hash code. Okay, so that hash code will be actually can be used. Okay, so now let's say we wanted to use character array. Yes, you can use. I can say this, and now to actually give the values in that, all I have to do is character array of 0, and the process is same. For characters, we always have to put them in single quotes, right? So like this we can put. Now there is other way of creating arrays, that is giving the values directly when we are creating them instead of giving the size. Let's say now what happens is, now if I print, say for example, fixed array of 0, it will be printing 89. Now see, it will be printing 89. Okay, so the first value we given will be going to this, second value will be going to this, third value will be going to this, fourth value will be going to fixed array of 3. Okay, so this is one way of doing those things. Okay, now if we want to create an array of arrays, we can create them later at later point of time, or we by so for example, here what we did, we created an array of certain size and the values are given later. Here we have created an array of fixed size and the values are given at that time. And one thing that you have to remember is arrays are fixed sized. You cannot change the size of the array once you actually created them. Okay, so now I'm creating a 2D array. Can I create a variable like this? I cannot, because the variable name cannot start with a number. 2D array equals to, now observe clearly, it's an array where there are child arrays. Now, is it clear for you? This two-dimensional array has a different arrays, has multiple arrays. It has 3 arrays where each array can have different sizes of different number of elements. Okay, so that's how we can actually create a two-dimensional arrays. Okay, now to access the certain element, as out. Okay, we wanted to access in this array last element. So how do we access it? We have to access it. Okay, what is this? This is the first one, right? This is the 0th item. This is the first item. So we have to give first one, and then to access the elements inside that array, we have to use this. And this is the second item. Now I should be able to print 23. You said something, Srilakshmi?
No, I'm telling you the answer.
Okay, yeah, yes. So that is how we can access any dimensioned array. Okay, so you can have n dimensions and you will be able to access all of them like this. Okay, so that's how we can actually use arrays. Any doubts on this?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Let me see if there is. Okay, tomorrow I'll be starting up with a concept called as operators. And meanwhile, what I want you to do is, I want you to find out what happens when you actually access beyond the size of the array. Okay, if you want to write the code, yes, write it, see the array, search for that array, and figure out what that error means. Okay, why that error is coming. Let's say, for example, what do I mean by that? Let's say I created array of size 5, right? So I can only access 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. Now what happens if I say array of 5? Okay, so you will get some error. Okay, so what is that error? Why that error is coming? Read some information about it. Okay, here IntelliJ is directly showing that error, right? So I want you to find out. Now IntelliJ is not showing any error, right? But now if I run this program, it will be error. It will be throwing an error and runtime error. Okay, because there are only 5 elements, but I'm accessing 6th element. Why 6th element? Because arrays are zero-based index. Not only arrays, most of the things in Java and other programming languages are zero-based index only. Okay, so what happens when I actually use it like this? And also I want you to find out, how will you find out what is the size of this array? Okay. Right, you can Google, do whatever you want, but I want to find it on your own on how will you find what is the size of the array. Okay, so those two are your exercises. Please make some time, at least 1 hour time you have to make set. Otherwise, you will be forgetting. As things get complex, you will be forgetting even faster. Okay, so there are 2 things that I gave you. One is identify the size of the array. How will you identify size of the array? And the other one is, how will you, what will happen when you try to access an element beyond the size of the last element? Let's say, for example, if I give 10, that is also beyond the last element, right? So what happens? What is the error? Why is that error coming? Okay, so research about it. Okay. So, and in Java world, one thing that you have to understand is, I can only teach you 20 to 25%. Okay, remaining things you have to understand how to learn on your own. That's the key. If you don't learn that, you will always be dependent on someone or other to figure out things and give it to you. Okay, so that's what I would like to inculcate. So it's not only about what I teach, it also about what you learn beyond what I teach. Okay, so that's very important for you to be able to succeed in this industry. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any questions, ask me. Otherwise, we can see you tomorrow.
Prasad?
Yes.
Manohar?
Yes, Manohar.
Prasad, for you to transfer the money, can I need your bank Like where is it? The location and the zip code. Can you give it?
Yes, I'll message you, Manohar.
Hello.
Yes, I'll message you, Manohar.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I need just the branch location and the zip code, and I will do it tonight. You should get the money like tomorrow morning.
You want Swift code?
Yeah, Swift code, like for me to transfer
Okay.
from
So
US to
usually,
to Indian.
yes, I understand that. Usually, people use some other services like Zoom, etc. Have you ever used that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
for that it doesn't ask Swift code.
Yeah, through Zoom only.
Zoom
Oh, it
doesn't.
doesn't ask you for.
No, it doesn't ask Swift code. So it asks for phone number, it asks for name, address, etc. But because no one so far asked me for Swift code, just open Zoom, XOOM Zoom. You should be able to find out what are all the details that you need. Just let me know. I'll
Sure.
give you those.
So where is your branch location? Which area is the branch located?
Madhapur.
Madhapur.
Yes.
Okay then. Okay, Prasad. Then I'm doing it right now, so you should see that tomorrow morning.
Okay. So if it asks for any more details, let me know. I'll message you.
Okay, then. Sure, Prasad. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, I'm giving it to you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Lakshmi. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, Prasad,
Yes, continue whatever you said.
okay, see you. No, I'm just saying about that. I'll try I send
Yes.
thing and I'll let you know what I got.
Okay.